Good morning and good afternoon, depending on where you're at. And if you hear this later, a good day. My name is Michael Cunningham. I'm with the World Affairs Council of Austin. Today, we're doing a video conference on the Ring of Honor. And first on the agenda today is we're going to hear from our Vice President, Ben Ramirez. Okay, this is exactly what we have. We have an opening statement that we're going to have. Then we're going to hear from Pavla, who hopefully will join us by that time. After Pavla gives a short speech, we're going to hear from Mimi Mary Shea, and then we'll hear from the two students that were being honored today for the student honor, and they'll talk about it. And then we'll talk to we'll have a report from Marina and Anna from Armenia. Then we'll go to Pasquale from Italy, Sakana from Croatia, Trudy from England, and then we'll have our closing remarks. Okay. Here's Ben Ramirez.
As Vice President of the World Affairs Council of Austin, I'm honored to acknowledge the tremendous efforts that will be recognized today. This is a truly historic moment for our educational community. When the World Affairs Council of Austin was founded, we did so with a simple but powerful belief that true understanding among peoples begins with education. Over the years, we have remained committed to that belief by offering public programs, lectures, and forums connecting people in Austin and beyond to global perspectives, ideas, and a deeper appreciation for our shared humanity. Today, we will focus on one of our most impactful initiatives, the Global Scholars Diploma Program. Through this program, we provide high school students with experiential, hands-on education. It's a kind of global classroom that goes far beyond the theories offered in traditional textbooks. Students actively participate in global debates and international moot courts, drawing on real-world cases from Armenia, Belarus, Canada, India, South Africa, and many other nations. These students actively examine cultural and legal issues in their historical context and the resulting impact on future generations. These immersive, interactive, and collaborative learning opportunities are specifically designed to develop each student's abilities in global competence and mediation. The students learn not just facts, but also how to think as global citizens, how to reason across cultural barriers, tackle complex international issues, and imagine workable solutions. They graduate with a certification in global affairs from our council, but more importantly, they develop a mindset rooted in empathy, critical thinking, and global responsibility. This year, we have reached a wonderful milestone. For the first time, the Global Scholars Diploma Program will confer the Ring of Honor Awards. These are not just awards, they're a symbol of excellence and dedication as demonstrated by the educators and the young people who have committed themselves to global understanding and service. The Ring of Honor represents our belief that actively practicing diplomacy, justice, and achieving fairness through compromise matters deeply. As we present these inaugural Ring of Honor Awards, we celebrate not only the achievements of educators who have greatly influenced the lives of individual students, but also the growing community of young global citizens who will help shape our shared future. We affirm that education, experiential, inclusive, and courageous, will bring more opportunities for peace in the world. In closing, I want to thank our partners, the teachers, schools, community leaders, and parents for investing in this vision. I also thank the students whose energy, curiosity, and commitment inspire us all. Together with the Global Scholars Diploma Program and its Ring of Honor, the World Affairs Council of Austin fosters global awareness, builds bridges across cultures, and empowers the next generation of leaders with the tools to make our world more connected, fair, and peaceful. Thank you for the opportunity to address you all today.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez. And we will go to the next slide. Excuse me a second.
Introductory speech. International Educators Ring of Honor video conference. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, and honored guests, this morning at 7:30 a.m., we gather for a historic occasion, the International Educators Ring of Honor video conference. Today, we celebrate not only the remarkable educators being inducted, but also the vision that has brought us together. The belief that education is a living mandate, a force that transcends borders, and a legacy that must be preserved. Why the idea of a Ring of Honor? The Ring of Honor was created to recognize educators whose work embodies justice, memory, and international dialogue. A ring is a symbol of continuity. It has no beginning and no end. By inducting educators into this circle, we affirm that their contributions are timeless, that their lessons will echo across generations, and that their commitment to truth and justice will never fade. What does the World Affairs Council of Austin have to do with international and legal education? The World Affairs Council of Austin has long been a bridge between local classrooms and global conversations. Through international summits, moot courts, and collaborative projects, the Council has connected students with diplomats, lawyers, and educators worldwide. In legal education, it has pioneered programs that confront genocide, sovereignty, and crimes against humanity, ensuring that students learn not only the mechanics of law, but its moral purpose. In international education, it has empowered youth to see themselves as global citizens responsible for dialogue, justice, and memory. How this will help change the future of education. This Ring of Honor is not simply ceremonial, it is transformative. By recognizing international educators, we are reshaping education into a global mandate. No longer confined to national borders or traditional classrooms, education becomes a platform for justice, cultural preservation, and innovation. The future of education will be defined by collaboration across continents, by curricula that confront atrocity and restore dignity, and by students who see themselves as architects of justice. Michael Cunningham's theory of educide. Michael Cunningham has warned of educide, the destruction of education as a form of cultural erasure. Educide occurs when truth is silenced, when history is buried, and when students are denied the tools to confront injustice. By inducting educators into the Ring of Honor, we resist educide. We affirm that education must preserve memory, confront atrocity, and empower youth to carry forward the mandate of justice. Michael Cunningham's theory of education. At its core, Cunningham's theory of education insists that learning is not passive. Education is a living mandate, a responsibility to confront hate, restore dignity, and build dialogue. It is not a museum piece, but a force that shapes the present and the future. By embedding genocide awareness, restorative justice, and international dialogue into curricula, we ensure that education fulfills its highest calling, to prepare students not only for careers, but for citizenship, leadership, and moral responsibility. Closing reflection. This morning, as we induct educators into the International Ring of Honor, we celebrate their courage, their vision, and their legacy. Together, we affirm that education is justice, memory, and dialogue, and that the future of education begins here today. At this moment in history, it is especially important to recognize these leaders in this way. Their work reminds us that education is not only about knowledge, but about justice, dignity, and the preservation of truth. By honoring them now, we ensure that their example will guide students and educators across the world for generations to come. On behalf of all gathered, we extend our gratitude to the World Affairs Council of Austin for being a true leader in the field of international and legal education, not only in Texas, but across the globe.
Okay, now we will go to Pavlo. Excuse me a second. I'll try to get this straight.
No, Pavel, she goes. In America.
Hello, everybody. Do you hear me?
Yes.
Di
We can hear
10,
you.
uno di 10
Now we need to
professori
make
in tutto il
sure
mondo.
silence. I'll be quiet.
Professori del mondo, e lui è stato
Shidlovsky,
scelto
World
per
Affairs Council of Austin Global Diploma Program Director, Michael Cunningham,
Questo è
explained,
Pavel, molto
I have known Pavel for 4 years, and I have worked closely with him on many different projects. His inspirational leadership has encouraged me to establish no less than 5 different international projects. It is through this relationship that the World Affairs Council of Austin has positioned itself at the forefront of international legal education by confronting atrocity through curriculum innovation and global partnerships. Under the direction of Michael Cunningham, the Council has launched initiatives that challenge students to see genocide not as distant history, but as a living mandate for justice. One of the most impactful projects, Geography of a Genocide, reframes how young people study atrocity by mapping the physical, cultural, and political landscapes where crimes against humanity occurred. This approach moves beyond abstract lessons, compelling students to confront the reality that genocide is rooted in place, memory, and human decision-making. By embedding reflection tasks, debate modules, and Socratic inquiry into the curriculum, the program empowers students to wrestle with questions of sovereignty, accountability, and moral law. At the same time, the Belarus Legal Project has become a cornerstone of the Council's international outreach. Inspired by Belarus's prosecution of Nazi war criminals and its policy of no statute of limitations for genocide and crimes against humanity, the project highlights the enduring responsibility to pursue justice whether perpetrators are alive or dead. This principle has reshaped how educators in Texas and beyond teach crime and punishment, embedding the idea that atrocity cannot be buried with the criminal. The success of these initiatives has been strengthened by the Council's relationship with Pavel Shidlovsky, Chargé d'Affaires of Belarus in Washington, D.C. Shidlovsky's diplomatic engagement has provided vital context and support, ensuring that the Belarus Legal Project is not only an academic exercise, but also a bridge to real-world international dialogue. His collaboration with me underscores the importance of connecting education with diplomacy, allowing students to see how principles of justice are defended and advanced on the global stage. Together, these initiatives reflect my vision that legal education must be more than technical training. It must be a call to memory, dignity, and restorative justice. By linking the geography of genocide with Belarus's model of timeless accountability, and by fostering diplomatic ties through Shidlovsky's leadership, the World Affairs Council of Austin ensures that students are not only learning about law, but are being prepared to carry forward the legacy of justice into the next century. Therefore, we honor Pavel Shidlovsky.
Okay. Now we will hear from the man himself. As soon as I get this deal and get going, excuse me. Oh, man.
Am I good to go?
Yes, here's Pablo, and then let's go ahead with Pablo's speech. And let me actually bring you up here, Pablo, so we can see you. There you go.
Thank you, dear Mike. Thank you for inviting me to the International Educators Ring of Honor video conference, and thank you for honoring me with the Educator Ring of Honor. I think that I have a lot to do to justify the high honor that you have bestowed upon me. So I think that most of our common endeavor and common effort is still ahead of us. I agree with Mike, I agree with the previous presentations that Project Courtroom to the classroom has changed how you teach high school students about international law, diplomacy, international relations, and such complicated things of the day-to-day diplomacy as genocide, as protection of sovereignty, as crimes against humanity. So this work is highly commendable, and it helps to teach future leaders in the classrooms. It is, I think, not accidental that this conference falls on December the 4th. December the 4th of this year is actually the first World's International Day Against Unilateral Coercive Measures. And Belarus is intending to continue to work with the states who believe that dialogue, respect, and international law have to be preserved, and they have not to be applied as punishment, punishment policies or selective pressure. So today, the world should not be restricted by artificial barriers, and today the unilateral pressure can no longer belong in international affairs. Another thing that Mike has mentioned and presenters have mentioned is the statute of limitations. Crimes against humanity, the crimes of genocide are the most serious crimes that can exist on this planet. And these crimes definitely should not have no expiry date, should have status of limitations, and we give the world a good example of how to punish people who perpetrate those crimes and how to bring them to justice, even though a lot of time has elapsed, more than 80 years since the Second World War, and those people are no longer with us, but still their crimes go unpunished. The Prosecutor General just a couple of days ago brought to the Supreme Court of Belarus the case against the sixth Nazi criminal who has committed atrocities during the Second World War in Belarus when it was occupied by Nazi invaders who unleashed terrible genocide against the people of Belarus. I have a brief message to share, message that comes from Foreign Minister of Belarus. Message is this: a deep understanding of traditional values and a vision of historical truth in today's hostile environment clearly need to be protected. Various thematic groups of friends within the UN, United Nations, have serious potential to promote issues that are important to us, such as the categorical inadmissibility of unilateral coercive measures, the protection of traditional family values, the fight against human trafficking, the fight against manifestations of neocolonialism. We must work with our allies within the United Nations and on the issues related to combating the glorification of Nazism and the unconditional recognition of the genocide of the peoples of the Soviet Union during the Second World War. So as the minister said, we are ready to fight together with other United Nations members and our friends and allies. My embassy is ready to do this job together with Mike Cunningham, with the World Affairs Council of Austin, Texas, and with the Da Vinci School. I should mention, and I should give my gratitude to Dr. Joe Gonzalez, the superintendent, to Dr. Kevin Cunningham, a history teacher, who joined this project and helps to run it and to implement it. And I think that your initiative, you're engaging in an initiative, and you are beginning a program of genocide that promotes critical thinking and shared responses about some of the most serious crimes facing humanity, yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And at the end of my speech, I will just give you a couple of examples, a couple of numbers that illustrate how terrible genocide against Belarus was and how it is important to preserve historical truth in order for it not to happen again. Over 3 million of Soviet citizens were killed in the territory of Belarus, including Belarusian nationals, prisoners of war, and other persons who fled from the occupied territories and died in other places, including concentration camps. So every third person who lived in a pre-war Belarus died. The criminal case of genocide against the people of Belarus is a nationwide investigation. It's a several-year-long project. It continues, and the results will be definitely shared with the public, but it's so enormous that just in order to complete it, it takes not even months, but years. Just a couple of figures, as I said, more than 17,000 victims and witnesses of genocide have been interviewed during the investigation. About 500 inspections of areas where the civilian population was supposed to be exterminated and buried were carried out. About 40 excavations were carried out. Local search work is underway. About 600 places of forced detention of the population, concentration camps, labor camps, children's camps, other types of different camps which were aimed at torturing people and exterminating people, were identified on the territory of Belarus, including 90 previously unknown. So the entire Belarus was a concentration camp of the Nazis. Almost 12,000 completely or partially burned settlements have been identified, including 2,500 previously unknown, and at least 220 settlements shared the fate of the village of Hatyn. They were completely destroyed along with their inhabitants, and they were never revived. We sent more than 100 requests for legal assistance of the criminal case to foreign countries, and these requests were sent to 28 foreign countries. Some of them responded, and we are engaged with them, particularly the Russian Federation. So with that, I will conclude, and it would be a great honor to receive the award, and I wish I was there in person to receive it from the hands of Mike, Murtada, and Ben. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now we will, shortly while I try to figure this out here, a little bit to add to Pavlo's deal. Germany invaded in Operation Barbarossa, Belarus in the late summer of 1941. From 1941 to 1944, 1/3 of the population of Belarus was eliminated. Almost every single family today alive had some sort of relative that was taken at this particular time. And with this is totally amazing. If you could imagine the United States, if we had 350 million people, 1/3 of our population within the period of 3 years would be eliminated. That's a large group of people, and this leaves a devastating effect even generations later. We're looking at 80 years difference between then and now, and the point that what I was trying to say is still impacting the country. And that was that's the largest percentage of any nation during World War II that lost population. So this is a serious information here. Pavlo's a very invigorating person and richly deserves this honor. And I want to mention that because from bottom of my heart, I really appreciate all the work he's done and the motivation he's given us to try to continue this thing to try to bring us about. And we have a lot more things planned for this spring. Thank you very much, Pavlo. And now we're going to go to Mary in Taiwan. In just a second, we'll have an introduction here as soon as I get back to the video. Okay, here's Mary's introduction.
Mei Mei Mary Shi. For over 20 years, Mei Mei Mary Shi has been a driving force in Taiwan's educational innovation, pioneering the use of video conference platforms and distance learning technologies to connect students across borders. Long before virtual classrooms became mainstream, Shi envisioned education as a global dialogue, where students in Taiwan could engage directly with peers and educators worldwide. Her leadership has consistently emphasized interactive formats, particularly mock trials, debate simulations, and civic reasoning exercises, that allow students to practice advocacy and critical thinking in real time. Her work has been supported by the Taiwan Ministry of Education, which has championed international collaboration and the expansion of global educational exchanges. Through this partnership, Shi has been able to scale her vision, ensuring that Taiwan's classrooms are not only technologically advanced, but also globally connected. Programs such as the Time Project and youth dialogues around climate change and justice reflect the ministry's commitment to empowering students as international citizens, while Shi's leadership ensures that these exchanges remain interactive, rigorous, and deeply human. Her partnership with Michael Cunningham has been central to this vision. Together, they have collaborated on international programs that merge Shi's expertise in technology-driven pedagogy with Cunningham's curriculum in legal studies, genocide awareness, and restorative justice. Over 2 decades, they have co-designed initiatives that bring world-class schools into alignment with global standards of justice education, ensuring that students in Taiwan and Texas alike are empowered to confront atrocity, preserve memory, and redefine justice. Through Shi's leadership, Taiwan's classrooms became early adopters of video conference mock trials, where students argued cases across continents, learning not only the mechanics of law but also the ethics of dialogue. Cunningham's contributions provided the scenario-based legal frameworks, from constitutional fidelity to international mediation, that gave these exercises depth and rigor. Together, their work demonstrates how distance learning can transcend geography, creating a shared civic space where students practice justice as a living mandate. Today, Shi's legacy in Taiwan is inseparable from this long-standing collaboration. By combining her vision for technology-enabled education with Cunningham's commitment to justice-centered curriculum, and by aligning with the Taiwan Ministry of Education's global outreach, they have modeled what it means to build truly world-class schools, institutions that prepare youth not only for academic success, but for leadership in the global pursuit of justice.
Okay, go ahead, Mimi, if you want to say some comments. Now, we appreciate all the work that you've done. I know we've worked for almost 2 decades, I guess, together on different projects. This is our attempt to honor some of the things that you have. Also, we realize that you have a bunch of students, former students, and go ahead and say what you'd like to say.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Thank you, World Affair Council of Austin, for nominating me and inducting me into this Ring of Honor Award. 20 years ago, I had a vision that my students could see the world from Taiwan. I also hoped that the world would see and acknowledge us. Today, I am proud to announce, here we are. 2 decades ago, school education in Taiwan meant merely getting high scores on pencil and paper tests and getting into good universities. Anything other than that was deemed going rogue. Now, with that, what would that concept be interpreted now? Back then in 2006, when I was told that it was not my job to take students global, I doubled down with my education partners around the world. Thank you so much, Mr. Cunningham, Mr. Michael Cunningham, for weaving that global network. Together with this network of relentless education workers, partners, students from across the continents are able to reach out, have cultural exchanges, discuss, and debate in real time. International video conferencing was made possible through relentless, resourceful, and resilient educators around the globe. First of all, Mr. Yanqi Brian Lin, my husband and a dedicated teacher who is constantly deprived of sleep and food, provides strong coordination and technology that flows seamlessly among numerous global projects. Mr. Michael Cunningham from USA and Mr. Joe Shake from Canada, thank you for bringing the world to our doorsteps. Renata from Poland, Mariana and Susanna from Croatia, Vinny from Malaysia, Atsuko from Japan, Mina from UK, Liz and Renee, Sam and Alan from USA. Thank you for believing in me and constructing this global platform together so that global peers from diverse backgrounds can collaborate and solve problems together. Students around the world, thus, could compete in international mock trial competitions and debate tournaments all year round. Today, I cannot go through my list of educators from 53 countries for obvious reasons, but I do highly salute all of you out there. Engaging students around the world also requires educators to be resourceful. So to provide quality education to all, not only is our Global Education in Taiwan program free of charge, but also learners are trained to conduct peer teaching and assist those from disadvantaged families so that all learners from all backgrounds have a chance at cultural projects and being globally competitive. To extend this impact, workshops and programs are specially and specifically designed and held at schools throughout Taiwan, as well as schools in countries with a late start in global education through video conferencing. I am proud to work side by side with my students in designing all these international projects so that the sense of global awareness and global community becomes and is extended into a lifelong process. Many of my students who are now in college or working in various fields are online with us today. Roy, Howard, Sam, Raphael, Lucy, and so many more. They are my education partners. They have expressed the deep impact these programs have on them, even through higher education, where personal growth continues and extends into further advancement and careers. Last but not the least, the significance of being resilient is a characteristic that all the honorable educators possess. In spite of educational and political challenges, we keep pushing forward. We break boundaries and even defy authorities to give all youth around the world a chance to strive for the best. My encouragement to all the youth around the world is to be relentless, resourceful, resilient, Link local, go global. Link local, go global, and be the best you can be. Thank you.
Okay, and Mary, did any of your students like to say anything?
Oh, they're online now. I'm not sure.
If you do,
Howard, would you like to say something?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Hello, Mr. Cunningham. Long time no see.
yeah.
Yeah.
I still try and find you. Just a second. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, it's a couple years ago. Like, it's my biggest pleasure to bring the global perspective and also the education process, or you can say framework, to the by workshop with Miss Mary Shi to all around Taiwan. And I think I'm also a biggest receiver as being a teacher with learning with peer, but also bringing me become a better person. And also in the college, the experiences in my high school with global constructed make me have more point of have more views and also have more ideas to solve the problems that I face in the college life. So that is one of the biggest points that I want to bring to, like, call back to what Miss Mary Shi say, that is that we try our best to link local and get global. Low Mandarin is our mother languages. English is our second languages. We also try our best to use this list that global, no matter teachers, no matter students, or the like maybe the social nonprofit organization. Yeah. So thank you very much. And also the biggest thanks to World Affairs Council and also Miss Mary Shi. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Howard. It's been a long time. Glad to see you again. Then the next we're going to do, Mary, is that let's try to go back to our I'll try to get back into this one here a second. Let's go to our two students in the Ring of Honor and go back to our regular okay, the Student Ring of Honor, celebrating the outstanding legal minds of two students. Roy Su is a champion in high school and college. Brissa Rodriguez is a strong moot court competitor. Excuse me. Well, Brissa knows more about this than I do. Sometimes I am the world's worst when it comes. Okay. They drive and help themselves to become successful attorneys. Here's the introduction for Roy. We'll do Roy first.
Hunglun Roy Su, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, and honored guests. Today we celebrate a scholar whose talent, dedication, and achievements are not only outstanding but truly extraordinary. A model for students everywhere, now and forever. It is my privilege to introduce Hunglun Roy Su as he is inducted into the World Affairs Council of Austin's Student Ring of Honor for International Education. Roy's journey began at National Dali High School in Taiwan, now the affiliated high school of National Chung Ching University, where he was an active participant in the International Video Conference Program. He engaged in cultural exchange, Model United Nations, and moot court competitions, experiences that connected him to peers across the globe. Through the World Affairs Council of Austin's international summits and mock trials, often organized in collaboration with government officials, practicing lawyers, and judges, Roy discovered his calling to pursue a legal career with international and interdisciplinary exposure. After graduating from high school, Roy continued his academic journey at National Chung Ching University in Taiwan, earning both an LLB and an LLM. His brilliance shone in competition, where he was named Best Oralist in the Jessup and International Humanitarian Law Moot Court contests. He then expanded his horizons through the European Master in Law and Economics program, studying at the University of Hamburg in Germany, Erasmus University of Rotterdam in the Netherlands, and the University of Vienna in Austria. Roy's professional accomplishments are equally remarkable. He is a qualified lawyer in Taiwan and in England and Wales as a non-practicing solicitor. He began his career in private practice at one of Taiwan's largest full-service law firms, advising on high-profile deals across industries and jurisdictions, and representing clients in complex civil and criminal disputes, including mass torts and white-collar crimes. Most recently, he has taken on a leadership role as corporate counsel for a major Taiwanese foods and retail conglomerate, overseeing mergers and acquisitions and ensuring compliance with competition law. Roy Su's story is one of vision, perseverance, and excellence. His achievements as a high school and college student, and now as a professional, embody the very spirit of international education. He has shown that talent, when paired with dedication, can transcend borders and inspire generations. Today, as we induct Hung Loon Roy Su into the Student Ring of Honor for International Education, we recognize not only his extraordinary accomplishments, but also the example he sets for students everywhere, a standard of excellence, courage, and global vision that will endure for years to come.
Okay, oops, excuse me, sir. Okay, we'll go back to Roy, and Roy, let's hear from you.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham, and thank you to the World Affairs Council of Austin. It is a genuine honor to be here today. This recognition is deeply meaningful. It brings me back to the very beginnings of my journey, to a time when I was a young student eager to understand a world much larger than my own. 15 years ago, I had the privilege of taking part in the international video conference programs of my high school, headed by Miss Mei Mary Shi and Mr. Yanqi Brian Lin, in collaboration with Mr. Michael Cunningham from the World Affairs Council of Austin and many other dedicated organizers, to whom I would like to take this moment to express my immense gratitude. Their selfless contribution made international education accessible. Standing before a camera in Taichung, we connected to friends across continents, from Del Valle to Durban, from Adelaide to Moscow. Those programs were my first real introduction to international engagement. Meeting peers from different countries with different traditions, values, and ways of seeing the world taught me that cultural differences are not obstacles, but sources of insight, opportunities to broaden one's thinking and question one's assumptions. In mock trials implemented by Mr. Cunningham, practicing lawyers and judges were invited to preside over our competitions, by which my interest in law took root, ultimately inspiring me to pursue a career in the legal profession as I continued to hold dear the discipline, precision, and fairness lying at the heart of the law. Through international summits, we began to appreciate that the most complex global challenges, from climate change to regional security, demand not only intellect, but also cooperation, open-mindedness, and a willingness to step outside one's comfort zone. We were encouraged to think and discuss as active participants in the global community, which proved to be the appropriate attitude over the course of my legal career as I worked on major cross-border transactions and disputes. I have advised on infrastructure projects where parties were compelled to consider the commercial risks arising from regional armed conflicts. I have represented clients in criminal proceedings against misappropriation of business secrets amidst ongoing international trade wars. I have also acted on a transaction between tech giants that was challenged in multiple jurisdictions because the technologies involved were so essential they raised national security concerns. Based on such experiences, I believe that international education is not merely valuable, it is indispensable. The world is increasingly interconnected, yet paradoxically more divided, and much closer to our lives than we might have ever perceived. The international education that I received not only offered knowledge and technical skills, which are necessary, yet far from sufficient, but also cultivated perspectives, built confidence, and broadened horizons beyond what textbooks alone could have possibly attained. On one occasion, I was told as a student then that those international educators aspire to enable young people to understand and befriend one another long before they become leaders in the global community. This is what I believe international education can achieve. Students becoming global citizens, knowing the world they live in, and preparing to shape it for the benefit of the present and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Roy. Well said. Okay, now we are go back to the other student. I'll try to do this a moment. I got a lot of editing to do, folks. Okay, the next student we're going to honor is a student that I know just like Roy, Brisa Rodriguez. She is a graduate of Del Valle High School. She's also a graduate of University of Texas El Paso, and she has completed her graduate of Texas Tech Law School. She also passed the bar here in Texas and is now an attorney. But we are going to go back and begin a journey with her in just a moment. Looking at a
Brisa
commercial.
Rodriguez, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues and honored guests. Today, we celebrate a scholar, an advocate, and a rising leader whose journey reflects the very heart of international education.
Being the eldest in a Mexican-American family and with all of the stereotypes that are out there, I think that it's important for me to make a difference and show that while there are bad stereotypes out there, there are also people that are here to break them. That's what pushes me forward into following my aspirations and goals of becoming an attorney. Those little effects that you have on people's lives make all the difference. The Y has provided me with a lot of mentors, like my debate coach. Being able to argue law and have a bit of practice was what really drew me in the most. The American dream is about being able to express who we are. Self-expression allows us to be as you are. Embrace who you want to be. Me encanta poder tener el privilegio de expresarme en español y en inglés porque me toca lo mejor de los dos mundos.
And in 2025,
I think I jumped ahead
from
a little
Texas
bit,
Tech
but
Law School, prepared to enter the legal profession with both academic distinction.
we'll start over with this part here.
Brisa
This is her
Rodriguez, ladies and
introduction.
gentlemen, distinguished colleagues and honored guests. Today, we celebrate a scholar, an advocate, and a rising leader whose journey reflects the very heart of international education: excellence, service, and the pursuit of justice. It is my privilege to introduce Brisa Rodriguez as she is inducted into the World Affairs Council of Austin's Student Ring of Honor for International Education. Brisa's story is one of determination, intellect, and civic engagement. A proud 2019 graduate of Del Valle High School, she began her journey with the World Affairs Council of Austin as a student intern, quickly distinguishing herself as a thoughtful contributor and emerging legal mind. Her commitment to law and global education was evident from the start. She graduated magna cum laude from the University of Texas at El Paso in 2022, where she deepened her understanding of legal systems and international affairs. She further honed her skills through the Law School Preparatory Institute, and in 2025, she graduated from Texas Tech Law School, prepared to enter the legal profession with both academic distinction and a global perspective. Brissa's achievements in moot court competition are equally impressive. She placed second in the State of Texas Youth and Government Moot Court in both 2017 and 2018, and was a National Judicial Conference moot court qualifier for 3 consecutive years, 2016, 2017, and 2018. These accomplishments reflect not only her legal acumen, but her ability to advocate, reason, and lead with clarity and conviction. Her drive, her determination, and her desire when in high school was well documented and stand as a testament for others to follow. Her induction into the Student Ring of Honor for International Education is a recognition of her commitment to justice, her excellence in legal scholarship, and her role as a model for youth leadership. Brissa represents the next generation of international educators, those who will not only teach, but shape the systems that govern our world. Please join me in celebrating Brissa Rodriguez, a scholar, a trailblazer, and a worthy inductee into the Student Ring of Honor for International Education.
Okay. We congratulate you, Brissa, and we ask you to make your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Cunningham. Good morning, good afternoon. I am honored to be with you all today as I receive this induction into the Ring of Honor, and I accept this recognition with immense gratitude and humility. You know, when I reflect on my journey, it's hard to believe how far, I've come. Going back to that determined high school student I once was when, my career, I thought of it as just a dream, just facing challenges on the day-to-day with responsibilities and more than anything, doubts. But what kept me grounded, what kept me going was, teachers who pushed me, educators like Mr. Cunningham who, mentored me and believed in me before I really fully believed in myself, as well as my family who have sacrificed more than I can ever properly thank them for. This award is very personal to me. It represents, late night studying, overthinking, not really knowing what to expect. And I can say that these experiences are valuable in more than just, what shaped me in high school, but lessons that I carry with me today, even as an attorney. I strive to lead with integrity, to advocate with compassion, and to never forget where I came from or why I even began this journey in the first place. So this recognition really renews my commitment to using the law, not just as a profession, but as a tool for justice and opportunity. And to the World Affairs Council, thank you for investing in young leaders and for honoring both the beginning and the growth of our journeys. It really means a lot as a student. And to the students and young people that may be watching, your circumstances truly do not define your ceiling. Take it from me, someone who, was the first in my family to graduate from high school, was the first in my family to go to college and to even think, that a career in law was even possible. So just, I guess my message is that your dedication, your courage, and your willingness to learn will take you much farther than you can ever imagine. So for this honor, thank you again. I'm deeply grateful, Mr. Cunningham. Thank you for all of your leadership, all of your wonderful mentorship. It's something that I truly can never thank you enough for.
Well, thank you, Brissa, and thank you, Roy. We really appreciate this. One of the things I cannot convey enough is that we need to put together more successful people to show students exactly what you can do. You go out and have a goal and you can complete it. So often in today's society, you don't see that. And there's a mismatch. And one of the things I really am so proud of when I see Roy back from I saw him in 2009, or Brissa when I saw her in 2015, 16, that you see the people grow and you see the people become young adults and you see the people become leaders. And this idea that you see the future leaders of the world, I've said so many different times, but you actually see these people doing it. We are in a much better world today than we are because of people like this, and that we need to have more people. So this is so so exciting on our part from the World Affairs Council to actually recognize people like this. A little background real quickly on Brisa. Brisa was one of the first of the people to graduate with the Global Scholar Diploma in 2019 from our council. And we've gone a long ways, and we're going to try to go a long ways more, and we'd like to have more people to follow the footsteps of Brisa. So as we see this, appreciate so much, and thank you, Brisa. And I'll be quiet before I start crying here a second. Okay, so we're going to go now to Armenia very quickly. And I have a couple other people here, and I guess it was COVID. And COVID introduced me to my heritage. I'll tell you straight up that my family came from Armenia many, many years ago. People that know me pretty much know that I know my genealogy fairly well and know where my families came from. Two particular people that I've done a lot of work with. One is Marina, and the other is Anna, and we're going to honor them today. And this is the introduction for Marina, and then we're going to hear her story.
Michael Cunningham stated, "I have known Maureen for 6 years, and I have worked with her many times during this time. She was the inspiration for my master's thesis and my theory of edgicide. Now we are honoring her for her work." For more than a decade, Maureen Khachaturian has been at the heart of the Armenian Virtual College's mission to bring Armenian studies to learners worldwide. As Education Program Coordinator and now manager of the education team, she has overseen curriculum design, online instruction, and hybrid learning initiatives that connect students across continents. Her leadership has ensured that AVC's programs are accessible in multiple languages, including Eastern and Western Armenian, English, Russian, French, and Spanish, making Armenian heritage and identity available to the global diaspora. Her work has included coordinating AVC's hybrid education program, which blends online courses with face-to-face sessions at partner institutions such as the Russian Armenian Slavonic University. Through this model, students gain access to structured courses in Armenian language, history, and culture, while also engaging in live discussions that deepen their connection to heritage and civic responsibility. This educational vision has been strengthened by the contributions of Michael Cunningham, class of 2023 graduate of AVC's master's program. Cunningham's research advanced the framework of edgicide theory, which examines how educational erasure and cultural destruction function as forms of genocide. His work highlighted the failure of U.S. foreign policy under President Woodrow Wilson during World War I to protect Armenia, a missed opportunity that left a lasting scar on international justice. By integrating this historical lesson into modern curriculum, Cunningham Scholarship complements Khachaturian's leadership, ensuring that AVC students confront both the cultural geography of genocide and the geopolitical failures that allowed atrocity to unfold. Under her encouragement and leadership, the theory of educide was born, changing the face of education now and forever. Together, Maureen Khachaturian's innovative educational leadership and Cunningham's theoretical contributions position the Armenian Virtual College as a global hub for Armenian studies and justice-centered inquiry. Their collaboration demonstrates how heritage education, when paired with critical analysis of historical policy, can empower students to preserve identity, confront atrocity, and redefine justice for the future. Therefore, today, we honor Maureen with inducting her into the World Affairs Council of Austin Ring of Honor for her work in international education.
Distinguished colleagues, honored educators, and dear friends, It is a profound honor to stand before you today at the International Ring of Honor Conference. This gathering brings together leaders who, in their own communities and across continents, are shaping the future of global education. To be included in such a circle is deeply humbling. Over the past 16 years, my work in education has taken many shapes: teaching languages, history and culture, designing curriculum, shaping online platforms and programs, building academic partnership. Whether in a classroom, an online platform, or a policy discussion, one truth has remained constant: education begins with human connection. Before any language plan or technology tool, what shapes a learner's success is the relationship we build with them, the trust, respect, the curiosity we cultivate together. My own journey has been guided by this belief. With a background in linguistics and a master's degree, I have worked with learners from a wide range of ages, cultures, and contexts. Teaching Armenian history and culture, as well as languages in Armenian, English, and Russian, has shown me firsthand how language becomes a gateway not only to communication but to identity, empathy, and global citizenship. It's not the grammar that transforms people. It is the experience of being understood, empowered, and invited into the larger world. Today, in my role as the head of academic affairs at AGBU, Armenian Virtual College, I am privileged to bring this philosophy into a global education mission. AVC has students in more than 100 countries, and every day we see how technology can bridge continents while still honoring the deeply human experience of learning. Beyond AVC, I also serve on the board of 405 Educational Alliance, a collaborative platform uniting Armenia's major educational and technology institutions along with the Ministry of Education. In this role, I work on initiatives that support innovation, integrating modern pedagogy, policy development, and even AI tools that can enhance learning. These efforts reflect a broader vision that education should not be a local service but a global responsibility. At the heart of every truly transformative educational experience lies one simple truth: education is a relationship. It is a human connection first, a curriculum second. When we build trust, when we nurture curiosity, when we see our students not merely as recipients of knowledge, but as partners in inquiry, we give them the confidence to imagine and the courage to act. Critical thinking is essential, but it is only the foundation. Our shared responsibility as educators is to help students understand the knowledge carries purpose. We guide them to apply what they learn for the greater good, to build communities that are compassionate, innovative, and just. We help them become not only better thinkers, but better human beings. This vision strongly resonates with the mission of the organization I represent, AGBU, the Armenian General Benevolent Union. For over a century, AGBU has supported education as a pathway to cultural preservation, personal empowerment, and global citizenship. Our mission is built on belief that when we invest in people, when we elevate minds and nurture identities, we strengthen entire societies. And it is through the same philosophy that AGBU Armenian Virtual College operates. At AVC, we bring together learners of all ages, backgrounds, and geographies, using technology to bridge distance and foster meaningful connection. We are not simply teaching languages, history, or culture. We are cultivating belonging. We are equipping students to understand themselves more deeply while engaging with the world more responsibly. Our work aligns intimately with the values being celebrated at this conference: collaboration, global awareness, and the conviction that education is a tool for building a better, more empathic world. This is why I'm especially grateful for the remarkable leadership of Mr. Michael Cunningham. Michael, your work exemplifies what it means to elevate education beyond the boundaries of a classroom. For all these years, across diverse subjects and institutions, you have championed a vision of education that empowers students not merely to learn, but to engage. Commitment to global education through the World Affairs Council of Austin, your direction of world-class schools and your ability to unite outstanding educators from all over the world reflect the way spirit that organizations like AGBU strive to advance. Your help cultivate informed, culturally aware individuals, precisely the citizens our interconnected world needs. Big thank you for everything you do. To all my fellow educators here today, I want to express my deepest admiration. Our work is not always easy. It is not always visible, but its impact is immeasurable. In every student inspired, in every mind awakened, in every life redirected toward hope and possibility, we see the quiet power of what we do. Let us continue building relationship that transforms. Let us continue guiding students not only to think critically, but to dream boldly. Let us continue shaping a future where compassion, justice, and understanding is not an ideal, but realities. Thank you all for your dedication, for your vision, for your wearing belief that education can create a better world for all of us.
Thank you, Marie. Okay, now we're going to go to the next person, Annie. I had the privilege of being able to take like 5 or 6 classes on my master's program under Annie, so I know her teaching style very well. And here's a little introduction to her, and then we'll hear her speech.
Ani Decker-Menschan, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues, and honored guests. Today, we celebrate an educator whose dedication and vision have carried Armenian language and culture across borders and into the lives of students worldwide. It is my privilege to introduce Ani Decker-Menschan, Senior Online Instructor at the Armenian Virtual College, AVC, as she is inducted into the World Affairs Council of Austin's International Education Ring of Honor. For more than 7 years, Ani has guided learners from diverse backgrounds through AVC's innovative online platform, teaching courses in Eastern Armenian and supporting students in mastering the language through interactive asynchronous programs. Her work has ensured that Armenian studies are not confined to geography, but are accessible to anyone, anywhere, who seeks to connect with their heritage. Ani's role extends far beyond language instruction. She has welcomed students from Brazil, Russia, the United States, and beyond to AVC's Yerevan office, creating opportunities for cultural exchange and leadership development. Through her teaching in the AGBU Global Leadership Program, she has led Western Armenian language classes that preserve heritage and empower diaspora youth to embrace their identity. Her teaching philosophy is rooted in personal connection and cultural immersion. Ani often meets students in person when they visit Armenia, bridging the gap between online learning and lived experience. In doing so, she embodies AVC's mission to make Armenian studies available worldwide in multiple languages and to foster a sense of belonging among learners who may be far from their ancestral homeland. Ani Decker-Menschan represents the very spirit of international education, combining innovation, heritage, and human connection to ensure that culture lives on in the hearts of students across the globe. Her induction into the Ring of Honor for International Educators is a recognition not only of her achievements, but of the legacy she continues to build, a legacy of language, identity, and justice carried forward by the next generation. Please join me in celebrating Ani Decker-Menschan, a visionary educator, a guardian of heritage, and a worthy member of the Ring of Honor for International Educators.
These are Annie's comments herself.
Before anything else, I want to extend my heartful thanks to Mr. Michael Cunningham. Michael, your leadership, your commitment, and your determination are the reason we are all gathered here today. You don't simply organize events, you create spaces where important conversations can take place, where stories can be shared, and where communities can grow stronger. For that, and for everything you do behind the scenes, we owe you our sincere gratitude. As a history teacher, I'm constantly reminded of one truth that guides my work every day. A society that forgets its history does not only lose its past, it begins to lose its future. When we fail to teach history with honesty, courage, and depth, we create generations that cannot recognize injustice when it rises again. Generations that cannot see warning signs repeating themselves. Generations that cannot fully understand who they are or where they come from. History is not a collection of dates and names. It's a mirror showing us who we have been. It's a warning reminding of all of us what we must never repeat. And it's a guide helping us imagine what we can still become. It teaches resilience and it shapes identity. It protects societies from repeating their worst mistakes. This is why history education matters and why the work we do at AGBU AVC is so important. At AVC, every history course, whether it's about kingdoms, language, modern struggles, or cultural resilience, it's more than a lesson. It's a bridge connecting students to their roots, to their people, to their stories, and to a global Armenian identity that continues to survive and develop despite every challenge. Our courses do more than inform, they empower. They give students the tools to understand the world they live in, to ask different questions, and to see themselves as part of a much larger story. And when students discover that story, when they feel it, when they internalize it, they gain something that cannot be taken away. The courage to stand for truth, the ability to recognize patterns, and the responsibility to carry their heritage forward. This is why gatherings like this matter. This is why our community matters. And this is why I'm so grateful. Grateful to stand here, grateful to be part of this mission, and deeply grateful to you, Michael, for creating the space where this work can grow. Thank you all for supporting education, for valuing history, and for believing that the past is not something we leave behind, but something we learn from, something that shapes our strength today and guides our vision for tomorrow. Let us continue doing the work that ensures our future is wiser, stronger, and more united than our past. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ann. And there's her certificate. And now we're going to go to Pasquale in just a moment, but first we'll give the introduction.
Pasquale Mariano. Pasquale Mariano, an Italian educator and international English teacher, has distinguished himself by designing creative approaches to EFL instruction that immerse students in real-world dialogue. In 2025, Mariano launched a groundbreaking project that connected his students with Rev. Charles Murr, the American priest and author known for his writings on Vatican intrigue, including Death in the Vatican. As part of this initiative, Mariano's students conducted interviews with Rev. Murr, entirely in English, asking questions about his experiences inside the Vatican and the events surrounding the College of Cardinals' preparations to select a new pope. Murr, who had worked in the Vatican for several years, offered the class first-hand insights into the inner workings of the Church and the atmosphere leading up to the conclave. Mariano's innovation was not only in bringing a global voice into the classroom, but in making it the foundation of his students' high school English examinations. Rather than relying on rote memorization, students were required to demonstrate fluency by answering questions in English, replicating the same format used during their dialogue with Murr. This method transformed the exam into a living exercise in communication, cultural exchange, and critical inquiry. By situating language learning within the context of Vatican history and contemporary events, Mariano gave his students a rare opportunity to practice English while engaging with a figure who had witnessed the complexities of faith, politics, and secrecy at the highest levels of the Church. The project exemplifies Mariano's philosophy that language education must be experiential, global, and tied to meaningful dialogue.
This is Pasquale's certificate, and now we will hear from Pasquale himself. Let me get to hopefully. Go ahead, Pascual.
Hi. Can I talk, Mike?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm so excited that I hope I will be able to talk because I'm so excited. I repeat. So I would like to start with an anecdote. When I was a child, a young student, a teacher of mine told me that the person who has the culture and education in the hand has the power in the hand. And so I told to myself, oh my gosh, I will have power if studied. If I study, I will have power. And so I'm going to be a teacher, and I did so. And I understood that the only power, the most important power, is that of understanding the world. That is the most, and so be close to everybody because we live under the same sky. Understanding the world is a beautiful journey. I would like to thank Mr. Cunningham and everybody. At the Ring of Honor, part of the World Affairs Council of Austin, I am here today with deep humility and immense gratitude to be recognized as the Italian educator of the year and an international master educator is a profound honor. Yet, in this moment, I am reminded that recognition is never just about the individual. It is about the values we uphold, the lives we touch, and the future we inspire. Education is not merely a profession, it is a calling, a responsibility, and above all, an act of hope. Every lesson we teach, every conversation we nurture, every challenge we encourage our students to embrace. These are seeds planted in the soil of tomorrow, small today, perhaps invisible, but over time, these seeds grow quietly, persistently, until they bloom into understanding, empathy, and courage, the very qualities that will shape a better world. I'm profoundly grateful to the World Affairs Council of Austin. Your mission to foster dialogue, understanding, and collaboration across borders is a beacon of inspiration. To be honored by an institution that embodies these ideals is more than recognition. It is a call to action. It is a reminder that education is not confined to classrooms. It is the bridge that connects cultures, the spark that ignites dreams, the foundation upon which a more compassionate and connected world is built. And as I reflect on this honor, I think of the future, a world that is complex, ever-changing, yet full of possibilities. The young minds we guide today will inherit this world. And it is our responsibility to equip them, not just with knowledge, but with wisdom, empathy, and the courage to act boldly, to question bravely, and to build bridges where others see walls. While this award is presented to me, I dedicate it to my students, They are here. Part of them are here. I have been teaching for 30 years, and it is as if it was the first day. And it's beautiful seeing them blooming and open their mind. I have always tried to open their mind, and I hope to do my best in so doing. So with my students, they are here, part of them. They are the living embodiment of hope, curiosity, and courage. Their questions, their discoveries, their willingness to engage with the world, these are two rewards of teaching. It is in their growth, their dreams, and their vision for a better world that this recognition finds its deepest meaning. To the World Affairs Council of Austin, I offer my heartfelt gratitude. Your work inspires recognition, yes, but even more importantly, it inspires responsibility. You remind us that education, dialogue, and global understanding are not optional. They are imperatives for the world we hope to build. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And if it's possible, I would like to make students of mine talk, if it's possible.
Oh, yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
First of all, we want to thank Mr. Cunningham for giving us the chance to speak today. In fact, we recognize this recognition as really important and crucial for education worldwide. We live in a society in which there is a dichotomy between opening and closure towards other culture. I personally believe that other cultures are not important. They are vital for ourselves and our growth as a species. In fact, we want to thank the World Affairs Council of Austin for giving our professor this recognition. And we want to say that we try every day to reach other boundaries, to reach over our limits and try to give the better of ourselves to other people worldwide. To conclude, I wanted to say thank you again, and I wanted to remind us all that what we are doing today is crucial for our future and for our present. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Any of your students want to talk?
We agree with what has been said before, and we all think that education, studying is our biggest opportunity to build something that can connect all the students together. So we are very grateful, and we all thank the World Affairs Council of Austin because it gives us the opportunity to go over and to do our best.
Ricardo?
I agree with what they both said, and I think Professor Mariano is a great teacher, and I believe he really deserved this award. Thank you all.
And to my students, I dedicate this award with love, pride, and hope. May we continue together to open minds, break barriers, and shape a future defined by knowledge, empathy, and shared humanity. Thank you. Thank you once again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pasquale. Really appreciate your students as well. Now we're going to go ahead and go to Croatia. And we're going to listen to introduction.
Sunčana Lea Kolbazin, Croatia, ladies and gentlemen. Please allow me to introduce Sunčana Lea Kolbazin, an educator at the 16 Gymnasia in Zagreb. She has truly distinguished herself through projects in civic education and international collaboration that place her students at the heart of global dialogue. She has coordinated e-twinning initiatives such as Superstitions 2024-2025, connecting Croatian students with peers abroad through digital platforms, and guided civic campaigns that challenged gender inequality in the labor market, where students used symbolic acts like wearing ties to spark conversation and dismantle stereotypes. One of her projects involved her school participating with schools in Russia to discuss the war in Ukraine. She also participated in the World Affairs Council of Austin Model Parliament, based on the Australian YMCA Model and Model Congress, based on the World Affairs Council of Austin Model Congress Model of FADLD. Her research, including presentations on the cultural identity of the Balkans, explores the intersection of heritage and modernity. Her creative media presence on platforms like YouTube, Prezi, and Mixcloud extends her reach beyond the classroom. Kolbazin represents a new generation of Croatian educators who blend civic responsibility, cultural inquiry, and digital innovation, ensuring that education is not only about knowledge, but also about participation, identity, and justice. She is the future and the reason why education is at such a dynamic level in Croatia. Congratulations, Sunčana, on a job well done, and welcome to the World Affairs Council of Austin Ring of Honor.
Okay, now we'll hear from Sunčana. Sunčana, are you there? Well, a little bit of technical issue here. Let me check real quick, and I don't see. Okay, we thank Sunčana then, and we'll go to our next one, which would be Trudy. And I do not see Trudy either at this point. So, but let's go ahead and give you a little bit about Trudy here.
Trudy Purnell. It is my privilege today to introduce a remarkable educator whose vision and leadership have left an indelible mark on both her students and the global learning community. We gather to celebrate Trudy Purnell, Head of Humanities and Global Learning Coordinator at Rushcliffe Spencer Academy in Nottingham, United Kingdom, as she is welcomed into the Ring of Honor for International Educators of the World Affairs Council of Austin. Trudy Purnell has dedicated her career to ensuring that education is not confined to the classroom, but instead becomes a gateway to the world. As Head of Humanities, she has inspired her students to explore history, geography, and philosophy, not as static disciplines, but as living inquiries into justice, culture, and human responsibility. Her leadership in the humanities faculty has elevated Rushcliffe Spencer Academy's reputation as a class school, where academic rigor is matched by a commitment to civic engagement and international collaboration. But it is in her role as Global Learning Coordinator that Trudy's impact has truly transcended borders. She has championed initiatives that connect her students to peers across continents, embedding global citizenship into everyday teaching. Through her guidance, students have participated in international projects that foster dialogue, empathy, and cross-cultural understanding. She has shown that education is not only about mastering knowledge, but about cultivating the skills and values needed to thrive in a connected, interdependent world. Her accomplishments reflect a philosophy that resonates deeply with the mission of the World Affairs Council of Austin, that education must prepare young people to confront the challenges Trudy Purnell. Responsibility and international outreach, Trudy Purnell has modeled what it means to be a global educator in the truest sense. Tonight, as we induct her into the Ring of Honor for International Educators, we recognize not only her achievements, but also the legacy she is building. A legacy of students who see themselves as citizens of the world, who understand that their voices matter, and who are prepared to lead with empathy and conviction. Trudy Purnell stands as a beacon of what education can achieve when it is guided by vision, integrity, and a commitment to global learning. It is with great pride that we honor her tonight and welcome her into this distinguished circle of educators whose work ensures that justice, memory, and dignity remain at the heart of learning across the world. Please join me in celebrating Trudy Purnell, a true architect of global education and a worthy member of the Ring of Honor for International Educators.
Okay, at this time, Trudy, if you're there, you can give your comments, please. Okay, since we don't have Trudy, let's go ahead and I want to do one more thing and then we can try to have a general talk here. I'd like to go back on our deal and I did not want to share. I want to talk a little bit about the Belarus legal project because that's what we're going to be doing this next semester. We're going to do some International Criminal Court of Justice moot courts and about legal standing. One of them will have to do with Belarus and one of them have to do with Armenia. And we'll talk about that just real briefly. And we have Pavla here and he can give us a little insight on that. So let me go back and try to share. Go to that. Okay, excuse me.
Pavel Shidlovsky and the Belarus Legal Project. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished Pavel Shidlovsky and the Belarus Legal Project. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished colleagues and honored guests, today we gather to honor a man whose vision and courage have profoundly shaped the mission of the World Affairs Council of Austin. It is my privilege to introduce Pavel Shidlovsky, whose leadership and wisdom became the greatest inspirational influence behind two of our most important international projects, the Belarus Legal Project and the Geography of the Genocide Project. Michael Cunningham, director of the Legal Studies Division, explained it best. Pavel changed my life and recentered my ideas about education. Today we are using what we have been introduced through Pavel, and we are now bringing Belarus to the world. Pavel's philosophy is simple, yet transformative. Genocide knows no statute of limitations. This is not merely a slogan. It is the very centerpiece of our legal program. His insistence that justice is for the victim, not the criminal, has become the guiding principle of our work. Through the Belarus Legal Project, Pavel's influence has ensured that crimes against humanity are confronted with courage and clarity, and that sovereignty, law, and justice are taught as living mandates. Through the Geography of the Genocide Project, his vision has empowered students to see atrocity not as distant history, but as a global reality that demands remembrance and response. The Courthouse to the Classroom Project, Da Vinci High School. Equally inspiring is how Pavel's influence has reached students directly. The Da Vinci High School students working through the Courthouse to the Classroom project have engaged in real-world legal education that is truly outstanding. They studied how the U.S. federal court in New York charged 4 Belarusian nationals with air piracy and then represented Belarus in an appeal to the International Criminal Court of Justice, ICCJ. They learned the importance of bringing charges against individuals by name, affirming that crimes must be tied to accountability, not obscured by anonymity. They argued that the United States lacked standing to bring the case in a New York court, and that such action undermined the sovereign immunity of Belarus. A side result of their work was learning about the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA, of 1977, the law that allows the U.S. president to declare a national emergency against a person or country, impose sanctions, freeze assets, and levy tariffs without additional congressional approval. This knowledge proved essential on November 5, 2025, when during oral arguments before the U.S. Supreme Court, justices questioned how the president could levy tariffs without Congress's permission. The answer, known by the Da Vinci students through their Belarus legal project studies, was clear. IEEPA 1977 granted that authority. Through this experience, the students demonstrated that education is not abstract. It is preparation for answering real-time questions at the highest levels of law and governance. Their work shows that Pavel's influence in the Belarus legal project have created an educational model that is both practical and transformative. Closing reflection. Today, as we recognize Pavel Szydlowski, we celebrate not only his influence, but the enduring legacy he has given us. A legacy that ensures the World Affairs Council of Austin continues to bring Belarus and the mandate of justice to the world. At this moment in history, it is especially important to recognize these leaders in this way. Their work reminds us that education is not only about knowledge, but about justice, dignity, and the preservation of truth. By honoring them now, we ensure that their example will guide students and educators across the world for generations to come.
That was Pavlo's deal again, and we're going to go ahead and close, but we're going to try to put everyone back together and talk just real briefly. Okay, Pasquale, you still there? And Mimi and Pavla, and we appreciate, yeah, good. I'd kind of like to share with all y'all this courtroom to the classroom project, which we'd like to include and start to Italy and to Taiwan as well. So the concept is what they're doing in Minsk can actually be transferred into to your classrooms. And we have 2 different ones, and we're doing these moot courts from the IC, the International Criminal Court of Justice. And the International Criminal Court of Justice, not the ICC, but what it does, it does between different countries and stuff like this. But one of the cases we have took place here in the United States in the Federal District Court of South Manhattan. I'm not saying it right, but it's a federal court in Manhattan. They put together charges of air piracy against 4 Belarusian nationals. One of the Belarusian nationals, they didn't have a first name nor the last name. One that had a first name but not a last name, and then 2 that they had for the actually name. Well, the issue was that they were never on the airplane. The issue is also that they never could commit the crime that allegedly they were accused of. And the idea is that how in the world can you charge somebody when you have no legal standing yourself? So that's why you would take it to the Criminal Court of Justice to do. And what Pavel's going to talk to you about when he comes back a second is trying to put it into your classrooms as well this spring. And we also have one where it comes to genocide, as we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay. So I got to unpin everybody. So Pablo, tell us a little bit about what we're trying to do in this project here. And there we go. And then we'll get married too. There we go. Okay, Pablo, tell us a little bit about what you foresee, what we could do with this project and help out and put into the schools in Taiwan and the schools in Italy. We have the people there. Okay. Thank you, Pavel.
Thank you, Mike. This project is topical. This project is necessary. This project helps to expand horizons of your students and have a clear, unobstructed, objective look at the world and at global affairs. So myself and my embassy will definitely support it, and we can give it a try and connect your classroom, your students with some of the Belarusian universities and see what can be done together. In the meantime, you can always rely on my assistance, support, and information and expertise if it becomes necessary to give you insight into some of the government of Belarus position or insight or suggestions on other topics that may be of interest to the students and which are part of the global agenda.
Yeah, we're trying to work with two different ones. One, we have two cases on legal standing coming up. Then we have one on genocide. And the one on genocide is really good because the problem is, and I was talking to a gentleman that we would go in the next one, is that the idea is that people forget, and Anna said it best. She said, when you forget your history, you pretty much end up, you can write off your country, you know, and the problem is if we forget about what has happened to us and who remembers what happened 200 years ago, hardly, you know, when you think about it. And there is no limitation. And this is one of the things I cannot emphasize enough. There is no limitation when it comes to the victims of the people that went through this horrendous problems. And, you know, when we think about it, they say, well, oh, the murderer died, so therefore the murderer no longer really exists. Well, that erases the real victim of the crime here. The crime was the criminal. The crime was the victim, not the criminal. And when the criminal dies, you know, the victim still doesn't get their justice. So, you know, this is something that we need to try to look at. And I think this is something we can really change around when it comes to educating people. Mimi, what do you think about something like this?
So, what is it that you can suggest the students can do beforehand and then during the event?
Well, we could give you, we got all kinds of information. Could you have like a week or two preparation where it tells you a little bit about what's going on. Tells you a little bit, if you go to the geography of the genocide, it'll tell you exactly, you have to understand what took place. And here's the thing, it's really, you know, what I just telling you right now, you might never have heard of before. You know, a lot of people never heard of the Armenian genocide. People hadn't heard about the Belarusian genocide for sure, because in a lot of cases in the West, it really wasn't publicized the way it should have been publicized. I don't mean publicized, it wasn't really been taught. And for many different reasons, which I don't really want to go into here at all, it's been downplayed. And other things have taken place, you know, and stuff like that. And the totality of the idea that 3.1 million something, I think the prosecutor general was saying at the office, 3.1 million something out of a population of less than 10 million died. They found that many bodies. That this is a devastating blow. You know, originally when I was first studying stuff like this back in college, they would say something on the neighborhood of maybe 800,000, 900,000 people died in Belarus. Okay, well, that's like 1/3 of the population. And then when you hear that a lot of times the Holocaust education, people will say 6 million people of one religious persuasion were killed, and 6 million people is a lot, but 6 million people is a drop in the bucket. If you figure 3 million people died in Belarus, 6 million, you know, there are a lot more people that passed away. So it's our job to try to tell about the seriousness of it. I think it's our job to try to tell or to try to change, just like we saw with Roy and Brissa, so the future leaders understand that, and maybe this stops somewhere in the future, is that crimes do not stop when the criminal dies. They still have victims, and we take a look at that. And I think you could take that long march of your neighbors and the amount of people that passed during the time between the war between the politics of your neighbors, and to see that millions and millions of people can perish, and then all of a sudden we don't really know too much about it.
I'm thinking that you mentioned about it formatting it into moot court style.
Yeah,
okay.
We had
challenging for many of the students now here at my site. So I was thinking maybe we could make it into a not so challenging, language challenging event so that more students can participate.
Well, we can have just a cultural event too. The moot court was one thing. We can have a cultural one where it would be really good to talk about. We could even talk about the Uyghurs, of the people that are being incarcerated by your neighbors not too far away today. But the thing about the Belarus part, which I really would like to emphasize a lot here, as it comes to the geography part, is that people understand this from a real important view. But if you take this and they become leaders later on, maybe we can stop some of this stuff, because right now we have genocides going on in the world that are just fantastic. And that's one of the things I wanted to mention, without going too far into politics, is that we've had incursions from one country into another country where 150,000 people were taken out of their country, and the properties were taken, everything else, which qualifies under genocide under the 1948 UN declaration, but we refuse to mention it. So there's a lot of things that need to be stopped. There's a lot of social justice that really, very serious type of stuff.
Off my head, I could think of something in between too. In between the cultural events and the moot court, but maybe I can elaborate that.
Yeah.
Your Friday on, I don't know, your Friday night and our Saturday morning where you'll be connecting to us, or I can do it real quickly right now. For example, it can be a discussion on where the students can actually understand, they will understand what happened in the past, the historical event, and then also express their thoughts on that and how they think they can let the history not be forgotten. So students will think of ideas to let this kind of thing be known without making it too horrific. However, it has history and it needs to be, shown to everybody.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. There's always certain sensitive things. There's some things that we don't want to mention in your country that we can mention in other countries. But if you talk about another country, it's really not as bad as it's talking about, your particular country, So I've been real careful about saying neighbor instead of mentioning anything else, because I understand certain sensitivities. But when it comes to Belarus here, even though right now we're probably treading on areas in which, we don't have official recognition between the United States and Belarus at this particular point, but that doesn't mean that we can't work and learn and share and stuff. And that's what we're trying to show the kids, is that we are trying to develop programs in which we are ahead of where our governments are at. Right. And that's the only way to change our government, is to navigate through the stuff and say, that, I'm very proud of the fact that I know Pablo, I call him up and he'll say, hi, Mike, how are you doing? I don't know if anybody else is an ambassador I could ever call and talk to people, but I can't call them an ambassador because our government's not officially recognized. Okay. we had that same situation with some of your people over there and some of your neighbors and stuff like that. So, you know, again, we can ignore things, but the problem is I don't think we should teach ignorance. I don't think in the future we want to teach that to our students. We need to have them recognize what the real problems are and to go there. Pavlo.
Mike, one quick clarification. Actually, with the Trump administration, there is more of a recognition and respect coming from President Trump himself and the Trump administration toward my government and my country. You're probably aware that our two presidents had a telephone conversation when President Trump was flying to Alaska to meet with President Putin. And there are regular high-level contacts between our two governments now. And your president has just appointed the special envoy for Belarus, who is his personal confidant and his personal attorney, John Cole. So this conversation continues, and there is more recognition. Yes, the embassies are not yet fully functional because there are no ambassadors, but nothing is impossible. And when your president wants something, he gets it. You can be sure that your president gets what he wants. So if he wants to improve relations with Belarus, he will get it, and we will be 100% with your president on that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I'm trying to say is we need to teach kids to be more like that than just this idea of, you know, denial. You know, I would have never thought, you know, honestly, that if we went back into the 30s, we wouldn't even be able to talk to Pasquale because, you know, we were in the early 40s because Mussolini had been in charge of Italy and, you know, we would be on different sides of war. You know, Pavlo, I consider a good friend of, I've only met him like twice, once here in town and once in Washington, D.C. But when I was a young person, we were on different sides of the world and we were on different sides of the deal. And I thought that all people of the old Soviet Union were godless. And then I found out that, oh my gosh, that we may have been the godless people and they were the God-fearing people. And much of what I've been told was not necessarily always true. Pavlo.
Speaking about God-fearing, 60% of Belarusians are believers and almost all of them are Christian. And therefore, I had a great pleasure of making a donation to the Museum of the Bible located in Washington, D.C. yesterday with a group of our diaspora and church leaders from different states, including Georgia and Virginia, here in D.C. And we delivered this gift, the Bible, and were very warmly received by the leadership of the museum and had a big conference and event and discussion, and they gave us a private tour, VIP tour of the museum. If you are in DC, I definitely encourage you to visit that museum. And I gave the Bible translated into Belarusian. It took the guy 12 years to do this job, the entire Bible. And this is an example of how important religion for us is now. And we are really God-fearing people and God-fearing nation and live not only by basic human standards, but by the standards of God. And this is recognized by my government. So we have an opportunity, people have an opportunity to be atheist and, practice no religion at all. But as I said, 60% are believers and this number is growing. Thank you.
Yeah, it's probably much higher than it is here in the United States. I'll just put it that way because very active, but we don't have that many people in our pews to be sure. And Pasquale, what do you think about trying to get this projects with Belarus into your schools and different things like that this spring? Either culture or for moot courts? You're mute. You're mute, Pasquale.
So you mean, Mike, to start to
Yeah, what we're trying to do now is that there's a couple of projects we're going to talk about. One is this geography of genocide, where we're going to talk about prosecution of we have a discussion, and this would be good for that discussion on that Friday night, whatever you're doing, Mary. Is that when should a crime when's the crime end? Or when does a criminal, when should you stop prosecution? That is a large deal. You wouldn't think that would take Mussolini, for example. I mean, once he died and was hung upside down or something, is that the end of the deal, or should we try him later afterwards? And in this case, on these genocide cases, he was saying they started one last week with another group of Nazis that they're still from 80 years ago, and there is, it's open for discussion. But one of the problems, I think, is that if we don't really discuss stuff like this and never talk about it, most people just kind of let it go and say that the person who's died, that's the end, and that's I think that idea needs to be changed somehow. What do you say, Pasquale? Then we'll go to Mary.
Eager to start such a cooperation. You mean the time? You're asking me about the time, Mike. When we,
I was just talking about, like, this spring, we're going to try to do a couple of these projects, and I'll send you out some of the projects. And since he was here, I thought we would just share.
What about starting in next year, to 2026, in January, February? We are starting a cooperation with the University of Uzbekistan, from Uzbekistan, Business and Science. We can cooperate with them if you want to, starting a cooperation together, working on that. So in January, they are going to come here in Italy, and we will sign a memorandum of understanding. And so at the beginning of January, so we can start cooperating in January. We have vacation from the 20 to the 22nd of December till the 6th of January. And so we have the delegation of Uzbekistan here, and we can start January such a cooperation, Mike.
Yeah, that sounds great. In fact, I would like to find out some more about the Uzbek one, because my family actually went through Uzbek, and I know when they actually lived in the area when they're coming from China and going to Turkey. Some of the leaders from the people that migrated on the deal. But I actually had a couple of grandparents that got married in Uzbekistan. Well, what is Uzbekistan now? On the Silk Road. So, I need to, it's very late at night. So Mary's going to have to go. I wanted you to meet each other to try to start something going on that. I really appreciate everybody's today. Yes, I could create Zoom session for something like this. And I wanted you to meet Pasquale so you can kind of get a face, because he can do some stuff with you in Italy that will be kind of neat, and they're very strong into international cooperation. What's the time difference between you, Pasquale? What time do you have right now, Pasquale?
What you mean for the target?
What time is it? Your clock? What your watch?
Oh, yes, okay. It's 4:30 p.m.
Yeah, 4:30. And so what, you're 7 hours difference?
7 hours. Yeah, 7 hours.
Yeah, you could do something like morning, afternoon, or something like that with Pasquale. His group are so fantastic, because they have to end up I don't know if they do anything in Mandarin or that, but they have to be tested in the language. So that he has said those kids tested in English, so they have to actually know English. Okay, so this is something that you do in English, you could do in Italian, you could do in what languages do y'all speak, Pascual?
Oh, they study Spanish, German, French,
Chinese.
Chinese. We are going to start Chinese too. Yeah, we are going to start. Maybe next year. Maybe next year.
Well, the bad part about that is, Mimi, that you could start doing something with them, because the interesting part is that when they do their languages, they have to take a national test to graduate. So if you take a national, they have to actually know what they're saying. So, it's not like this laborious transfer that you may get or you may not.
Actually, just maybe we could, Mr. Cunningham, just give our contacts to each other, and we can
that's what I'm saying.
Thing out the scheduling, the content, and everything.
Yeah, I will put you guys together on the email here when they get all this stuff done, and then that way you could do it. And I know I want to say goodbye to you, because I know it's getting really late. And Pasquale, thank you so much. And we will see you guys later. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Bye. Thank you.
Bye, my new friends.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao. Arrivederci. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci. Yeah. Let me try to undo this a second, Pablo. And if you got just a minute, I want to talk. Okay. Let me stop the recording. Okay, stop the recording.